Right now, for his latest My Richmond story, Bill traveled to Jamestown for an interesting conversation with Christy Coleman, who was recently named Executive Director of the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation. Here's their conversation.
So we're with Christy Coleman, and in this new adventure, this iconic setting of Jamestown, Williamsburg, Yorktown, all here together, and that's a new job for you.
Yes.
But we in Richmond know you very differently. Well, maybe a little bit differently anyway, and that was with Tredegar, and you were there 12 years. And so I'd like to take you back to that first day when you started at Tredegar, because this job's still new to you.
Yes.
Let's go back to Tredegar, day one, if you can remember that, or week one, and start there.
Well, I mean, it was, that first week was pretty hectic, I would say, just like the first week here has been, because you're trying to get around and meet everyone and trying to get a sense of how things operate, how the visitors, you know, kind of react to the space. But that first week was spent, you know, making a lot of phone calls to board members that weren't involved in the search process. It was getting on the phone and talking to key donors, and just trying to get the introduction in. I had 3 weeks to move my family from Michigan, so it was a massive move.
You're not from Michigan, you're a native Virginia.
Yeah, I grew up in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
I grew up in Williamsburg.
And went to Hampton University.
Yep.
So Richmond was not that big of a leap, except for Michigan.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Richmond was like coming home,
Yeah.
but I got to really explore Richmond in a different way, because when I was growing up here and in my early 20s, the experience of Richmond was very different. For example, the Tredegar, the riverfront, you didn't go down there unless you were looking for some serious trouble, right? There was a lot of homeless down there. It was, you know, this sort of industrial mess in the mid to late 80s, and it wasn't the place that it is now. So to watch that transformation alone was really remarkable.
So before you even got there, though, the transformation had started, and it was becoming, and anybody that went there 10 years ago was like, this is a special place. Look what they're doing here. But what they have when you left, that's a whole different level.
Right.
And a lot of that was your hard work that you put in there. It's Black History Month. You go from this Civil War place to make it a place of inclusion and diversity, and add all of that. Now, was that something that was resistance to it, or was it just a door that needed to be opened and you were there to open it, or both?
I think it was a little of both.
Yeah.
I think it was a little of both because, you know, let's face it, with the Civil War story anyway, the story of the Confederacy had dominated for generations.
Sure.
And so the idea that there could even be more to tell about the American Civil War, or that there could be involvement of women or African Americans or other people of color, was deemed unnecessary or distracting or whatever, when in fact it was really crucial to understanding the crisis the nation went through. I feel similarly when it comes to the colonial period, and I have to say, before I did the Civil War, I mean, it's the first time I ever dealt with the Civil War from a professional standpoint, aside from a section and an exhibit that we did in Detroit. But my first love has always been the colonial period and the Revolutionary era, you know, sort of early Republic. That whole stream, that whole idea has always appealed to me. So the fact that the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation is focused now on really exploring the early colonial period and the convergence of culture and what that would mean for better and for worse, in and of itself was very appealing to me.
We talked about how you helped transform Tredegar and bring it full vision. I mean, everything up front. Do you have a vision for that here? And what would that be?
I'm still working on it. But one of the things that I really applaud the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation on is that they really have been going down this path already. There is a robust series of programming that's available both at the Jamestown Settlement Site and at our American Revolution Museum at Yorktown. And so, for example, here at Jamestown, all month there's just a series of special lectures and presentations and talks. We have a program here that culminates the month called After Angelo, which is named after the first the first West African woman who is identified in the historical record by name. And so the program will culminate with a special series of all-day events on February 29th. And then at the Yorktown Museum, we have an extraordinary exhibition up right now called The Forgotten Soldier, African Americans in the Revolutionary War. And again, on a whole series of programs for that. So whether you're, from Williamsburg to Richmond, or whether you're from Williamsburg to Virginia Beach, you have both of our facilities to really be able to explore this during African American History and Culture Month. And besides that, if you happen to miss, because there's such a plethora of activities going on, the good news is this is a part of our work. And this will continue to be a part of our work moving forward, that you don't just have to come in February to have the experience.
People that are students of history have known what you're trying to bring to the front for a long time. To bring it into full view is something that I think we all need, because, as we said before, it's a story of people and different people, and the culmination of all those people's efforts.
That's exactly right.
Why we
That's
are where we are today.
That's exactly right. I mean, this is the story of us, as in capital US, right? So, I mean, this is.
Well, that's it. That's it. It doesn't get any better than that. That's your close. It's the story of us.
It's the story of us.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you again.
All right.